as a Portland sportscaster, and you were a kid, and you've done quite well for yourself, and I'm really happy for you doing this. When you did the documentary and they approached you, did you say, oh, I don't want to touch this thing? Or did you say, I want to explain what happened?
So actually what happened was, I've looked to do this doc for about 10 years, maybe 7 to 10 years. One of the things that really has bothered me the most is the anniversary, right? People are still talking about this thing 17 years later. And one of the things that I want to do is tell the story, have the conversation. I think the narrative itself was told in a manner that didn't really highlight what actually really happened. So I was very blessed to have an opportunity to sit down and talk to Netflix about this opportunity. I'd like to thank Netflix, the Way brothers, and Floyd Russ, who's the director, who did a phenomenal job on capturing the vision, which was not alienating anybody, but just telling the story so now we can finally have a conversation.
Do you hope that the narrative gets changed when people watch this?
Colin, actually at this point, it's just about having a voice in the situation. I think what people do not know is that we went through criminal and civil for 10 years.
That's right.
And we basically couldn't talk because if you said the wrong thing, it affected one of your cases. So by the time we got past the 10 years, the 10-year mark, it was one of those things where you just wanted to just go away, and not have to talk about it. But every year, I'm tagged, messages sent to me, I'm reminded about that night. And that really bothered me. And so having the opportunity to be a part of an incredible series of untold sports docs meant a lot to me, even though this has been talked about, for many, many years.
A lot of people said they went after Ron Artest. And at the time, Ron was a very volatile player. We've since brought him on the show a dozen times. He's a wonderful, just a giving, caring guy. But at the time, America really said, this guy's unhinged, he's bad for sports. As I watched the video, I'm like, Ron, don't go up in the stands. What are you doing? But in that moment, take me to your fear, your anxiety as this stadium full of people are throwing stuff. Were you literally scared for your life?
So when you think about this, you go into a sporting arena, probably as a friend, as a fan, and for sure as an athlete. You go in there to compete. At the time, it was about sending a message. Detroit had just beat us the year before in the conference finals after having the best record in the league. And we didn't necessarily know how good we would be. We knew how good we were coming into that season, the brawl season. And, to have the type of game that we had, which I think we won by 18, 19 points on national television, and then end up into a position where you're now fighting for your life. Like people were literally trying to hurt us and we had no protection, right? And so when you're put in a position to have to lead, right? My position as a player on that team was being a leader, not just in the locker room, not just on the basketball court, but anytime that we're together, right? And then put in that situation, you have to make sure that you protect yourself and others when nobody else is doing that for you.
When you look at this video, and you've seen it 1,000 times, what do you think?
I've watched this doc 14 times.
Wow.
And Colin, to be honest, not one time have I not got emotional about it because people don't understand the magnitude of what this did to a lot of things. It put a league that I love so much, and to this very day, as an alumni, right, under extreme pressure where there was no template to deal with, which then allowed a general public or media to create a narrative that then wasn't about our safety or about that night or even about real information. It's about 3 players punching fans that all of a sudden now are criminals, are not all of a sudden are thugs, tattoo wearing, hip hop listening, braid wearing players.
Right.
And people roll with that narrative, not only for that year, but for years. Right. And so that ate away with me. And part of me stayed in that facility. Basketball wasn't as enjoyable anymore because when you're in a situation and $1 billion business is affected, your peers are being judged that wasn't even in the building, right? Your position then is like, it's a sense of sadness that comes with that, right? And part of my aggression left, right? I was angry, no doubt, up until hell, this doc came out. And I know part of my love for playing basketball went away, to be quite honest. But it was a part of the process, Colin, and honestly, everything that I went through in that event and any other part of my career made me a better man today, as I live as a father, as a community leader, and as a businessman.
By the way, he's the founder of Drive Nation Sports. It's AAU basketball, volleyball programs for boys and girls. He has now been the executive producer. I'm going to watch it this weekend, sneak it in with all the football and stuff, of Netflix Untold Malice at the Palace. And I'm so happy for you, because I remember you when you were a kid from South Carolina and you came out there with some friends and you were a little lost for a year or two. And the Blazers were so darn loaded and deep with big men, there was nowhere to play. And little Jermaine O'Neal, you became a man, and 6 NBA All-Stars, and you've got charitable organizations and this. You've really done well for yourself. I'm genuinely happy for you, Jermaine, and I hope this was therapy for you, because it's a story that needs to be told. And congratulations on your successes and this documentary.
No, Colin, I thank you. It's been quite the process, been quite the time. I got to say shout out to the Portland Trail Blazers for being prepared for a 17-year-old kid out of high school from Columbia, South Carolina, that didn't know much about anything, right? Allowed me to grow at my own pace, all my ups and downs, allowed me to be a second son in a city that really cared about their team. So shout out to them, for all the tools and information they gave to me to have an opportunity to become a 6-time all-star and everything else in life. And this is a chapter in my life, honestly, that I am absolutely closing. Right, I've now had my opportunity to have the conversation, not vilify anybody, not alienate anybody, just have a conversation so people can see exactly what we saw that night. And now, whatever conclusion you can come to, that's on you. You can always go to Netflix and check the doc out. And I'm pretty excited about it, because it was one of those scenarios, Colin, to be honest, where we did not shoot that doc together. When we put this together, it was to shoot in different locations. We did not have conversations. I call the guys and people that are involved and say, hey, look, just talk openly, right? Whatever your opinion and your feelings are for it, talk openly. And hopefully everybody out there enjoying it. And I got to say this, the incredible outreach and love and support for people that one thought that we were thugs or didn't watch basketball or just in support of us has been incredible.
Jermaine O'Neal, absolute pleasure, continued success. Our clock is winding down. What a great way to end hour number 2. Go watch